In example 3, it says rewriting before finding square roots with exact answers. Always read your directions. We want to solve each equation and give an exact answer. So we're back to exact answers. Sometimes it will say exact, sometimes it will say approximate. Let's take a look at letter A. It says x squared plus 3 is equal to 39. In order to solve for x squared, or for x, we need to get the squared by itself first. The first thing we'd have to do is get rid of that 3, and we can do that just like in linear equations. We're going to subtract 3 from both sides. When we subtract 3 from both sides, we get x squared equal to 36. Now we have our x squared by itself. At this point, I can take the square root of both sides. So I'm going to take the square root of x squared and then plus or minus the square root of 36. The square root and the squared, they undo each other, getting our x to come out. And then we have plus or minus the square root of 36. Well, 36 is one of our perfect squares. So what number times itself gives us 36? And that's just 6. So we get x is equal to plus or minus 6. Let's take a look at letter B. We have 2x squared minus 3 equal to 61. We have to isolate the x squared first before we can take the square root of both sides. So the first thing we have to get rid of would be the minus 3, and we can do that by adding 3 to both sides. That gives me 2x squared equal to 64. And then I need to get rid of the 2 that's out in front. Since I'm multiplying that 2 by x squared, to get rid of it, I need to divide both sides by 2. And I get x squared equal to 32. And then from here, I can take that square root of both sides. So I'm going to take the square root of x squared, which means I have to take plus or minus the square root of 32. The square root and the squared will undo each other so that x comes back out. Equal to, now I'm looking for an exact answer here. So instead of typing this in my calculator, I need to find that biggest perfect square that I can divide 32 by. So if I think of my perfect squares, one doesn't really work in terms of finding a biggest perfect square to divide it by. So then we have 4, 9, 16, 25, 36. Those are the only ones I need to look at, as 36 is bigger than 32, so this one won't work. And then I'm going to go down the line. Is 32 divisible by 25? The answer to that is no, but if you need to check it, take 32 and divide it by 25. 25 doesn't work. So then we're going to try 16. If I take 32 and divide it by 16, I see that I get 2. So that means I can continue on here. This would be plus or minus the square root. I'm going to put my perfect square in here, which is 16, times 2. So 16 times 2 is still 32. But now I have this perfect square that I can evaluate, and I get x is equal to plus or minus 4 square root of 2. Or I can write it as 4 square, oops, that's a 2. So 4 square root of 2 and negative 4 square root of 2. Next, I'd like you to do the try this. So pause it now, unpause it when you're ready to check your answer. If you did the try this correctly, you should get an answer of plus or minus 4 square root of 5. Or again, you could write it as 4 square root of 5 and negative 4 square root of 5. Let me know if you have questions.